All right. Okay, I'm gonna call the meeting to order. Gonna call the meeting to order. Okay, check, check. Can you hear me? Hello? There we are. Okay. I have a pledge of allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. All right. Roll call, Linda?
James Randall.
Here.
Dr. Brian Cherry. Kristen Cambenzi.
Here.
James Hewitt.
Here.
Glenn Sarka. Jennifer Cliff.
Here.
Jennifer Ray.
Here.
Okay. You need a motion to approve the agenda.
I'll make a motion to approve the agenda.
Okay, we have a motion to approve the agenda. Okay, we don't have a second. Making a motion to amend the agenda.
I make a motion to amend the agenda to add board member comments between items 13 and 14 on the agenda.
Okay, we have a motion to amend the agenda. Have a second?
Second.
Okay. I have a motion and a second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries.
Could we do a roll call on that? Could I do a roll call so I have, since it's a, we have a motion to amend the agenda to add board member comments between items, and I want to make sure I've got that correct.
Yep, items 13 and 14 comments.
13 and 14.
Comments from the public.
We usually, okay, we usually do the board member comments after gifts and requests, but that's still fine. 13 and 14. I'll do a roll call vote for the agenda. The motion to amend the agenda. James Randall,
Aye.
Kristen Cambenzi,
Aye.
James Hewitt,
Aye.
Glenn Sarka,
I wasn't here for the argument, but I do understand the motion, and I would vote aye.
okay.
There was no
Jennifer Cliff?
argument.
Aye.
Jennifer Ray.
Aye.
Okay, motion has passed, and the agenda will be amended to add board member comments right after comments from the public.
Okay, moving along, we have a superintendent's report.
Hi, everybody. Board of Education. Welcome to coming. And for our new hires, welcome to the board.
sale. There's lots of relationships forming. The way that I could describe the start of the school year at Cherry Creek Elementary is that by day 4, it felt like we had never left the school hallways. And that I will credit to all the staff that is at Cherry Creek. The hum of learning was in the hallways, and here we are on our first double-digit day of the school year. Joining me tonight to introduce themselves, we have Hannah Snow, who is a former MAPS student, so very exciting to have one of our own come back and lead our youth. She is filling in a specials position, taking over our positive action class, as well as a little bit of art, a little bit of PE, a little bit of music, and she even supports our title program. So hats off to Hannah for coming in late in the summer and then filling a role that is really complex and relies a lot on collaboration with others. So excited to have you aboard, Hannah. We have Miss Kimmy Conrad joining us in our kindergarten room. She is a wonder. Every time I visit her classroom, she has children engaged and excited about learning. There's not a challenge that she doesn't seek to rise up to already, and so feel very lucky for her, and she's just filling a dream of her own to be in a kindergarten classroom. And we know, those of us in education, that that's not a role that everybody runs for. So welcome, Kimmy. So glad to have you, and so excited not to have to interview for that position next year. We have Jill Vermeulen, another Marquette native MAPS graduate, coming to us, and another wonder. I mean, I look at the three of you, and as a parent of the MAPS district, I'm so thankful that we are welcoming new hires that bring that extra magic that you can't teach in a college setting. You know, they're bringing all of their skills and they're practicing with our students, but I see a lot of smiles in their classroom. I started my official walk-through schedule today, and the learning is happening, and kids are smiling when they leave the doors of Cherry Creek Elementary. So looking forward to lots of new things ahead. I thank our school board for supporting the MTSS movement. I think that's bringing a lot of energy and hope, signs of renewal during the last few years with the pandemic, being able to look forward. I think MTSS is doing that for us, and we're realizing that we can move forward and we can put new tools in our toolbox to help our students. Our word at our school today was impact. We're looking at everything we're doing and what impact it could have on kids and community. So I'm just gabbing. I'm sorry, I need to not talk so much. There's other staff members that I just want to say on record. We have Allison Sova filling our Resource Room 3 position, a special education classroom in our school. Irene Cole is joining us as a paraprofessional instructional program aide. Emily Formolo is going to be filling in a year-long position in one of our special ed classrooms as a long-term sub, and she has a lot of dedication and related experience coming into that role, so that's exciting. Sydney Harmon coming in as an instructional program aide, and Sarah Nalbert, one of our parents that I met actually at an open house, and she had that little spark, so I asked her if she'd be interested in considering noon supervision, and she's done so with a lot of grace and energy. So anyway, Cherry Creek is off to a good start, and I thank the school board for supporting all the work that we're doing on our end. Next.
Dr. Kempinen is next.
Good evening. It's great to be with all of you, MAPS board members, and everyone in the audience. Before I start introducing my new staff, I want to introduce my new colleagues again, although our superintendent did, because I'll tell you something, it's great to be among the girls, okay? I was one lone administrator among the boys for a really, really long time. And so Holly at Cherry Creek, welcome. Stephanie, officially at Superior Hills, welcome. And Stacy, where are you? You moved on me. There she is, Stacy Brock. Yeah, the sisterhood is strong, and we love it. And we also invite Kathleen Stiles into our K-5 meetings, and we love that too. She's in a new role, although it started last January, right? Something like that? November. Okay. And so officially starting off the year. And that just feels really nice. We have some interesting conversations beyond the business that we have to accomplish, and it's really been a delight. I am enjoying working with the three of you immensely. Our ship is also sailing, and it's sailing off to a great start. You have a list of some of our new staff, and I'll have a few extras that we add to that. A dozen a dozen, not a baker's dozen, but about a dozen new people in my building, or people assuming new places. So Annika Foltz is our new junior kindergarten teacher, and it's wonderful to have a JK at Graveret. So thank you for supporting that in each of our elementary buildings. It's vital, and we hope that's something that can continue long-term. So Annika, you know, we get to do this great thing as building administrators. We get to make this phone call and say, will you be my junior kindergarten teacher? And when I called her and asked her, she said this is the best day ever. And it made us all think back as a staff, remember that first job when you wanted that first teaching job right out of college? This is the best day ever, and I think she's living the best day ever with our 18 juniors. And then I got to call and invite Ryan Murtha to be our kindergarten teacher, our new kindergarten teacher. And when I called her, she said, oh, thank you so much for this chance. I won't disappoint you. She said, I have to tell you something, though. I'm 4 feet 10 3/4 inches. You might confuse me for one of the children, because she's just tiny, itty-bitty, but super strong in the classroom. And we also welcomed Rachel Hedberg as a second grade teacher to our building, because the shell game goes like this. You guys support instructional coaches at every building. Thank you very much. And we are able to select among our staffs. And Lori Smolinski, second grade teacher extraordinaire, steps up. And today she led our very first PD for our staff at Graveret as our instructional coach and knocked it out of the park. It was amazing. So thank you for supporting instructional coaches too. That's going to make a substantial difference for all of our students. And the reason we had a kindergarten opening is because a third grade teacher's shell game went to Bothwell, and I'm so sad about it, Jim Hewitt, but Murray Bonk, my kindergarten teacher last year, actually came to us from Lakeview as a third grade teacher. So she's bringing terrific expertise back to the third grade classroom for us. She feels like it's a really good fit there, although she did a great job in kindergarten last year. And then we were so blessed and fortunate, or do we rob from Peter and pay Paul? We got an amazing guidance counselor this year at Graveret. Her name is Krista McCormick. She came from Gwyn. And when I called her references this summer, every single person I called on the phone, I said, hi, my name is Sarah Kempinen, and I've been given your name as a reference for Krista McCormick. And every single person said, oh no, you're not taking her, are you? So I knew it was a good thing, and it's been a great thing for us. Officially, we welcome, as Kathleen Stiles stepped up to her new position, we welcome Andrea Johnston as our Title I teacher, and she's amazing and as strong as Kathleen ever was. And Miss Marie Crawford, who helped at our cafeteria, last year, we were able to feed all of our children with just 2 cafeteria workers, which is almost unheard of, and those 2 women work their hearts and souls for our kids, to feed our kids. Miss Marie this year has stepped up to be our new director, which is amazing, and we actually have a full staff in the kitchen, so we're very grateful for that. And we have 2 new supervisors, Aubrey Goodman and Kara Green. And in this day of seeking staff to fill all positions, I think our creative outlook helps us fill positions. So Kara Green not only is our new supervisor, she's also taken on our junior kindergarten specials position, which is a 17% position. And she adores little people, and she's doing a great job for us. And finally, we have 2 new instructional program aides at Graveret, Teresa Belkowski and Michelle Maxon, who are working in classrooms for us. So that's the dozen we have, and it's been a great start, and it feels good to have this many people in this many places as we continue to sail forward. Next up is my good friend, Stacy Brock from Sandy Knoll.
Hello. Good evening, and thank you for hiring me. This has been a fabulous start to the school year. I've said this before to several of you. I feel like I am finally at home. I feel like I've worked here forever, which is a great thing and unheard of when you start in a new district and you already feel like you've been here all along. So I've made some really great relationships with my colleagues and my sisterhood. It's been great. I have a fantastic staff at Sandy Knoll. I'm very proud of each and every one of them and their amazing abilities as educators and as the family that was explained to me when I was in the hiring process. They are a big family, close-knit staff, and that is very apparent right from the minute I stepped in the doorway of the building. So I am very proud of their abilities to work together and rise up together as a big team. I have some new staff, not quite as many as Gray Verrett does. Sarah Medalinsky, who is here tonight, is one of my amazing fifth grade teachers that I have at the school. There I have 3 fifth grade teachers, and they are really, really energetic and willing to try a lot of new things with the fifth grade kids. We have a lot of STEM activities going on in fifth grade. One of my teachers will be doing a microbit activity. She's working on that with Gabby from Marisa, and my fifth graders will be presenting at the October 7th professional development with their microbit robots and engineering and coding and all of that. They have a lot of activities planned for fifth grade. The kids are very happy. My fifth graders are very well behaved, and they have a great team of teachers to keep them going and engaged in their learning. So I'm very proud of my fifth grade staff, and Sarah's been a great fit in our building. So welcome, Sarah, and thank you for all your hard work so far. I have a few more staff members. Michelle Dembesti, who is not here, but she is filling in as a speech and language pathologist at the school. I recruited a couple of parents this summer to hire as instructional aides, and they've been absolutely fantastic. Meredith Maylard is not here. She is one of our kindergarten special education aides. And Paulina Holman is working with ECSC in the afternoon. So they are a great asset to our building as well. We've done a lot of new things in our building, and with keeping respect to all of the good things that have been going on all along. We've set up some building-wide expectations. We are working on a lot of STEM activities. I have been contacted by a college student who is also under the direction of Gabby at Marisa. She is planning on working with our amazing instructional coach, Amy Pruner, on possibly starting a Lego club after Christmas. We have a Spanish club that's happening every Tuesday in the building. And I have some high school students that are also coming over to help out with childcare during our school association meetings. So they're volunteering their time to provide that for parents so they are able to come in and be at some of our meetings. And I have the NMU swim and dive team coming on October 22nd to rake the grounds of the school. So we have a lot of things in the works, and I have a great staff that will just keep plugging away. I appreciate your support with the MTSS initiative. Amy Pruner is my instructional coach, and she is doing an absolutely incredible job. We had a great PD this afternoon developing our teams, and the teachers are really energetic and ready to get going on all of this. So thank you for supporting that. It's a very big, important piece to our student achievement. So thank you.
Next up, Mrs. Stephanie Anderson from Superior Hills.
You can save me if I need to be saved. We're tall, so we're going to just, hi. This young man's name is Elliot Prusy. He's a Youper, a new Northern graduate. This is his first ever teaching position, and he's our newest kindergarten teacher. Let me tell you that in his interview, we said, what would your colleagues say about you if you weren't present and they were describing who you are? And the very first thing he said was, they would say, I'm so, so sweet. That's the absolute truth. At the same time, the second day of school, every kindergartner was following him perfectly in line, not saying a word or touching anything. So there's a little bit of something in there besides so, so sweet. So I'm going to have him stand here with me in case he wants to add. He came in late in the game. We hired him just before school started, and the kindergarten teachers in our building had talked about how they wanted to try something different this year. When the students come to us, we don't have a whole lot of background information, and so we just sort of randomly put them into groups. And sometimes that doesn't turn out really well for best learning environments for a school year. And so we decided we would pilot a program that we called Kinder Camp this year. Some of my colleagues said, you're never going to be able to do that because moms want to know who their teacher is on the first day of school. And I said, I'm a mom who sent kids to school. I promise you we'll be fine. We did not tell parents who their teachers were until Monday, the second week of school. So we had a separate open house for all of the young students where we met all the families and we were able to share information about kindergarten, and we had a little social put on by our parent group afterward where families could mingle, and so we made that group of parents feel very welcomed and special by coming apart from the other open house. Out of all of our students, only 2 did not attend that evening. We spent the first 4 days with a lot of hands on deck, watching, assessing, intermixing. And the night of the third day of school, we got together and made class lists, and we had a dry run on Friday. I think we did pretty well, right? I'm going to put you on the spot, but I'm going to let you say something about it when I'm done, because it's really your work, not mine. I just supported. And so we created those class lists based on a lot of factors that we put our class lists together for our 1st through 5th graders to make successful learning environments. We believe we did a really great job. Parents were thrilled, kids were happy. Now, all 72 kindergartners, 72 at Superior Hills, know all of the teachers. They know many staff members. They know me. I know them. It went from a little bit of chaos for 3 days to just calm on the dry run day. So we knew that we had changed things immediately. And by the time we got into the real classes on Monday, things were already running really well on the 5th day of school. Do you want to say anything about how that went for you? Okay. All right. He's the guy who really did the work.
Speaking as someone new to the district, new to teaching, new to the whole concept of Kinder Camp, it really was a wonderful experience because not only do these classes feel balanced in behaviors, in academics, in just general construct, there is that feeling of connection among all 3 teachers and that entire 72 kid populace. It feels like you know every head that's running through your door. And it was a lot of groundwork, but to have that sense of belonging, it just felt like come Friday, come Monday, those classes were right. So really an excellent, excellent program. So much work, especially from even our support staff, our title staff, our instructional coaches, just fantastic work all around.
Isn't he wonderful? This young man just graduated from college. I mean, he's like my children's age, but I am so proud of him. He is so, anyway, I want to say thank you to Superintendent Sedgwick, who said, go ahead, Anderson, take the risk. Try it. I appreciate that. And I'm going to echo my colleagues when I say I appreciate all your work with supporting the MTSS initiative and all the things that we're doing coming off the pandemic to think outside of the box and really work together and make things work for our kids. Thanks.
All right, I'm going to have Mr. Reekle come up next. Good luck following that presentation.
Uh-huh. Well, you weren't wrong, Mrs. Anderson. You sound very sweet. So, Mrs. Anderson, thank you for allowing me to follow you. And so here we go. So, first of all, I want to thank everyone as well following their comments about MTSS. And we are really ecstatic about the instructional coach aspect. As one of our new staff members, we did bring on Mrs. Hewitt, Melissa Hewitt from Grave Right. I apologize for stealing her. She did present today at her first PD, and she rocked it. She did such a good job in there. We're really excited moving forward with her as our instructional coach. I'm very confident with her ability, and so I'll start that as one of our new hires is Melissa Hewitt. And then we also have, for the school year, we have Katrina Clausen. She's our 8th grade science teacher. Mr. Kyle Kempinen, 8th grade history teacher. Danae Lasardi, 6th grade special ed. Zach Mark, 6th grade social studies. Taylor Racine, 7th grade special ed. Sorry, Miss Musco, for stealing her. Scott Shippers, 8th grade English. Megan Sergila, 8th grade history. And we also have a new social worker. So thank you, Zach, for allowing us to, writing that grant to get us an E3 site, which is for social workers. So for the first time, as far as I know, or at least in my time here at Bothwell, we have a full-time social worker, and that is Marie Ross, I apologize. Marie Ross, and we're really excited to bring her on. We also have some couple of new instructional aides. Janelle Burkich, Courtney Giroux, who originally applied for a noon hour supervisor, but it seemed like she wanted more hours, so I offered the aide position, and she took that on. We're really excited about her. Diane Rock, who comes in with 20 years of teaching from Las Vegas, and also some in the LA Unified School District, I believe it was that she said, for sure LA, but I believe that was the district. She has experience there, and so we're excited about bringing her on. George Pond came over. He's been within the district, but he's now over as an aide for us, and he's been wonderful. And also Stephen Ross is hired as our health aide. And so those are all the new hires for this school year. We still have a couple positions, so I may be looking to steal some from you guys. I'll try not to, but some things going on. One of the things I know that's pretty exciting. Our 8th grade basketball team, they won their first ever basketball game the other week, and that was going through a whole year of not winning and then coming in the second year and then winning, and it was pretty exciting for them to do that. And then not only that, but we do have some new coaches, and they're within the building. So we have Jamie Davis as the 7th grade girls coach, and Zach Mark as the 8th grade girls coach. And I can tell you, Mr. Mark is really taking on this coaching, because you walk in, you watch practice, he's got that coaching voice going. They're watching film in the middle school level. It's pretty awesome, and so they're pretty excited about it. Megan Sergil, who's also a new hire, is she's doing cross country, and she has 70 students running for her right now, and that's pretty impressive. And so they're pretty excited about that. First meet's coming up. And then really exciting again is Arden, our therapy dog, will be returning. He decided to sign a contract again with us, and he's pretty happy about it. So I think part of the deal is he gets some goodies every morning from our secretaries. So that's been great. One of the best things, aside from the idea of the MTSS, and I know the term initiative, I don't know if everybody's throwing that around, but the instructional coach, aside from all of that, what I really enjoy is the energy within the staff. We always talk about being a family, and I can tell you that is so true at Bothwell. Last Friday we had 5 teachers out, no subs, and we just threw an email out, and they're covering for each other. I thought I was going to be teaching the whole day, and sure enough, they're covering during their preps, which is obviously not ideal, but that just tells you how much we support each other within the building, and so we're really excited about that. And and just looking for a great school year. I think, one of the things we look past right now in terms of the pandemic, just kind of hopefully getting over it. We're hearing that noise throughout the building, and it's something that we miss. When I don't see my kids for a couple hours, it's pretty nice, and then all of a sudden you start to realize you want that noise back. And this is very similar in the classroom. We want the noise in the classroom. We want kids in the hallway. We're able to see their faces, see them smiling. So really excited about that. So we're looking to a great school year. So, all right, thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Young, Marquette Senior High School, you want to come up next?
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you for having me. Before I even start talking about Marquette Senior High School and our new staff, I love hearing the new things going on and about the new people and the influx of talent and those kind of things. It's exciting to be able to talk about that and share. So thank you for that opportunity to do that. I'll also echo, what Mr. Rico mentioned about just a feeling to the start of the school year. There is. I think we're all excited about the fact that maybe there's a few less restrictions as what we've been operating under in the past, and maybe we can roll our sleeves up and get back to some of the things that we really enjoy doing, while at the same time carrying on some of those new things that worked very well for us and making just the best learning environment that we can possible. For the high school, one of those exciting things was to have our Welcome Back Assembly again on day one. And it was powerful to see 1,000 students in a gym all facing in one direction, and to be able to celebrate our seniors as they came in, to be able to recognize our teachers and celebrate them, and just that feeling and that atmosphere that we get from that was an exciting thing. And so we're looking forward to carrying that on throughout our school year. And I told our students on that day that there's 3 things that I want them to focus on this year. Number one, regardless of whether they're working in academics, athletics, or the arts, that they always give the absolute best effort that they can. Number two, that regardless of the situation, we will always put other people before ourselves. And then number 3, let's have fun, because this is a lot of fun, right? What we do is fun, and so let's have fun. And so that was the message that we left them with, and we're going to be picking that message up again next week already, because next week is homecoming. And so we'll be continuing that. So I encourage everyone to please attend, and looking forward to a great homecoming week. One of the things that I want to do too is encourage our elementary and our middle school to be part of that as well. And so send us our pictures of those cute kids dressed up in, dressed up days and everything else. We'd love to see that. So Marquette Senior High School, as always, has a number of people in new positions, and it seems like there's always a domino effect anytime we're talking about our staffing. And so to start off with, Kim Frizel is our new instructional coach. Kim has been with us for a number of years, an outstanding teacher, formerly in our science department, and now as an instructional coach. And then Katie Vessels, one of our special education teachers, is now filling the role of a counselor. Katie actually has had that certification for a number of years, but had worked in special ed instead. And we've had a very difficult time filling our counseling position. And so last year at the end of the year, I called her into the office, and I just want to share this quick story. As I called her in, I said, I want to talk to you about something. And, you always have that like, uh-oh, what's coming, kind of fear in terms of the teacher sitting there. And then for myself, how are they going to respond? Well, when I asked Katie about that, her response was, whatever you need. Like, yeah, let's do it, whatever you need. And then what was even better was, about 45 minutes, an hour later, I see her in the hallway, and she's like, I'm excited. And it was already kind of setting in, like that idea of doing something new and challenging and something great for our kids, because we need that third counselor to be in place. We also have another new addition to our building that's replacing Eric Hammerstrom, and that would be Chris Toms, formerly of Bothwell. He's now here at the high school teaching English. We're very fortunate to have him, and there might be a player to be traded later, perhaps, or something along those lines. But excited to have him in and working in Red SPN and carrying that on as well. Another familiar name that's with us is Greg Thacker. Greg did a great job last year, almost teaching the full school year. He came in as a student teacher who was not really a student teacher, and jumped right into the classroom, rolled up his sleeves, and next thing you know, he was teaching English by the time the school year finished. But that's a testament, one, to Northern's program. That's a testament also to the work that Greg was doing and just the outstanding effort that he was giving. So excited to have Greg in there. He'll be teaching in science. We also have Shannon Fisher, who will be replacing Kim Frizel in our science department. Shannon comes from downstate. She's going to be joining us there, and again, just really full of energy and excitement there. Elena Carter is going to be teaching in our combination position of English and cooking and nutrition. And so she actually has English 11, English 12, and then cooking and nutrition. And Elena is a former Westwood grad who had moved out to the West Coast and is now back in the UP where we all come back to, right? And so we're excited to have Elena Carter in our English department. Joe Servia, who's here with us tonight. Joe is a new special education teacher that we've got. Joe is actually replacing Katie Vessels, and Joe brings a wealth of online experience, teaching in that environment and working with students in that environment, as well as that mentorship with students and things along those lines, as well as some leadership in education, given his experience as a previous online instructor and management there in that program. And so we're excited to have Joe join us in our special ed department. And then Veronica Peterson, who formerly was an aide at the high school, is now actually jumping in as a long-term sub as a Spanish teacher. We're fortunate to have that. It seems every year, just when you think your hiring is set and you're ready to go for the new school year, that a surprise comes. This year was no different. With less than 2 weeks before the start of the school year, we realized that one of our teachers was going to be leaving. And so looking for that best replacement that we can find. Veronica just happens to be native Spanish speaking and is taught at the university level with Spanish. And so for us to be able to bring her in was great. And so those are our new teachers on staff. And then we also have Kaylee Terwilliger, who's going to be joining us as the health aide here at the high school as well. So those are our current positions. And just want to, again, encourage everyone to join us next week when we start off our homecoming week. Please be a part of that celebration and keep this energy that we've started our school year off alive. So thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Young. Mr. Crunkleton, the alt.
I don't know really how to follow all of that. The new energy at the administrative table is incredible. I want to start there. It was hard for me at the beginning of this year to kind of look at the administrative table and realize that Dr. Kempinen and I are the longest serving administrators. I mean, I have trouble even still realizing I'm a principal. I still feel very fresh at this, and then to think that it's been 10 years is pretty surreal. But the energy that I feel district-wide through MTSS, through instructional coaches, and then also the leadership team, we get lost in our fields a little more often right now. We're having deep-seated conversations and really not shying away from taking the conversation in different directions, right? And that to me is exciting, trying new things and putting yourself out there. So for all the new hires in attendance tonight and that aren't here, you are in a magical place. I've heard Stacy and Holly say this since you've come in, like you feel like you're at home. I think many teachers in MAPS and most people that work in MAPS feel that way. We're blessed to live and work where we are. So if you ever need a thing, reach out. It's a very supportive place to be. As far as new hires, I hope this doesn't sound self-serving to the alternative high school, but I don't have a lot of turnover. I have a very amazing staff that has been together for a long time, and they work magic. I do have one new hire with Alyssa Slattery through 31N with Marisa. She's our new social worker. And personally speaking, this has been the biggest game changer I've ever felt in my career with alternative education, to just have another caring set of eyes while kids come off the bus and be there to check in on students, but also to check in on teachers. She's doing an amazing job to go around and just say, hey, I'm here for you as well. So she wasn't able to be here tonight, but Alyssa is an amazing addition, and kind of like I've heard echoed, it just feels like she's always been part of our program. She did come in at the end of last year, but has just melded in quite well. As far as programming, I see Dr. Lubig in attendance. You've been sending some great stuff over to us to be part of as far as Native American studies and the Holocaust experience, and I always appreciate the outreach there. We just had our first place-based learning experience. We took the whole school out to Lake and Inland, and it was a team building experience, but the teachers just taught their day there, right? So I'm walking around Lake and Inland with my paperwork licensed therapy dog Wampa. But we're going around the circle. We all know Lakin and Land, right? And we're out there instructing, and I had a group of teachers doing recycled art in the pavilion, and a group of teachers doing creative writing up along a hillside, and social studies teachers teaching, about how the mining experience in the UP works. And then around another corner, and there's a teacher with a guitar talking about Woody Guthrie and folk music and all these things. And what I noticed as I was perusing and seeing how things were going was the tourists still going through the area were stopping and listening to my educators teach. And it was just magic. And I think that happens in all of our buildings. To hear you go out on a limb, Stephanie, and try what you did in kindergarten, that's amazing, right? And for Mr. Sedgwick to give us the autonomy to try those things, it's incredible. So blessed to be back, start another year, and here we go. Thanks.
Mr. Lampman is going to introduce our district staff.
Good evening, everybody. First of all, we're going to change the order next year so I don't have to follow all of these wonderful people. Yes, it's hard to follow the educators. Before I begin, let me just say that I don't have kids, but I have a 5-year-old nephew, and I love him like he's my own. And he had the benefit of going through kinder camp, and he loved it. And he is in Mr. Prusi's kindergarten class, and he just loves going to school every day. So thank you. Okay, so as far as myself, I just hit 1 year with the district last week. So I'd like to thank the board for hiring me, Mr. Sedgwick as well. It's been, I think, a fantastic year. Also, my colleagues, my peers, thank you for everything you've done for me over the past year. Kathleen, Sarah, Stephanie, Holly, I'm looking forward to working with you. It's been a great year, great team of people. I'm very fortunate to be here. So having said that, I would like to recognize some new employees with the district. First off, Nick Steffi, who is sitting in the back monitoring my sound right now. Thank you for bringing us into the 21st century. We very much appreciate what you've done for our meetings. I'd also like to recognize Kurt Hall and Bob Weisenberger, who are 2 new bus drivers with the district. Bus drivers, as you may know, are hard to come by these days, so we're very grateful that we do have 2 new bus drivers. And sitting in the back over here, we have 2 new members of our business office. First, Lori Downs. She's our AP clerk. Lori came from to us, actually, from City of Negaunee. She retired as a police officer after 25 years of service there. She came to MAPS as a health aide for about a year, and then we stole her for our accounts payable clerk. And she's doing a great job. We're very fortunate. And then sitting next to her is David Helwig. David was a special ed aide with MAPS, correct? If I'm not mistaken. So I apologize for stealing aides out of your buildings, but David has also been a great addition to our team. David has a Master's of Arts degree in economics from the University of Michigan and the University of California. And he also has experience as a market research analyst, a statistician, and a paraprofessional. So he brings a wonderful background to his new role as staff accountant at MAPS. So we're very lucky to have these 2 on board, and they're a joy to work with. Thank you.
All right, well done, and thank you again. Welcome to a most amazing district and what I like to refer to as a most noble profession. So Thank you all. And Mr. Randall, that's it for our staff introductions.
All right. Is that the end of your superintendent's report? No, we have another one further down. So, anyway, we have a round of applause for everybody that's here, for our new teachers. Thank you so much. It was wonderful. All right. Well, we're going to have a little reception over here. I don't know how many minutes we want to have for that, but let's take a break and mingle. We don't need a motion. Okay, and then we'll reconvene in a few minutes. It'll give you some time to do that. Okay, we're going to reconvene. Here we go. We don't have any agenda or any yellow slips, so we don't have any comments from the public agenda items. Superintendent's report continued.
Thank you, Mr. Randall, and those of you who remained. So, won't have a big audience for this part of my presentation, but that's okay. So, first, snow ice removal bids. It's that time of year, surprisingly, and we're trying to get everything set up before the snow flies. We had 2 bids for Bothwell and Superior Hills. We received 1 bid for Grave Rat, Cherry Creek, Sandy Knoll, and Bandon Boom, and I should note the 1 bid for Cherry Creek was indicated that it was not a preference. We had no bids for the high school or the auxiliary building. Spodek gave the low bid for Bothwell, Grave Rat, Cherry Creek, again not a preference, Sandy Knoll, Superior Hills, and Bandon Boom. And the other buildings, we decided to rebid. So we have since rebid the high school, auxiliary building, and Cherry Creek. So more to come on those buildings. The information that you need is in your packet. There's comparables to 2021-22. Any questions on snow plow ice removal bids? Okay. Second item on my list is an updated COVID preparedness and response plan. This will be posted on our website. It is not going to be very surprising. It's essentially going back to normal. And just some highlights. We're going to continue adhering to the CDC, Department of Health and Human Services, Marquette County Health Department guidelines or orders as they pertain to public schools. And if those orders are rescinded, would default to our current plan. Facial coverings are now going to be optional for students, staff, bus drivers, etc., including transportation, athletics, and after-school functions. Marquette County Health Department, if the Marquette County Health Department or state issues any form of mask mandate, we would of course follow that mandate. And again, if it was lifted, we would default back to our current plan. We're asking students and staff to self-screen before coming to work. And if they're displaying symptoms, they should stay home and monitor for 24 hours. And our staff is encouraging families to monitor their children for symptoms of COVID-19, and if there's a presence of any symptoms, including cough or shortness of breath, to keep their student home from school and to follow up with their primary care provider. Those are the highlights, and I thought I'd avoid a presentation because I think everybody kind of had a sense that that was the direction we were going. So I did feel like it was worthy of at least a mention in a board meeting, and then of course we'll post that COVID plan on our website pending board approval. Enrollment update. Our enrollment is quite strong. I spoke with Mr. Saunders, and he was telling me that the highest he had seen was 290 in his tenure, and last I checked, I think we were close to 300. Not officially. It's not official until count day, which is October 5th, by the way. But very strong kindergarten enrollment. Overall, our enrollment is quite strong. Sandy Knoll, 368. Superior Hills, 372. Cherry Creek, 412. Graveret 293, Bothwell 716, Marquette Senior High School 933, Marquette Alternative High School 144, for an unofficial total of 3,238. So good news. Any questions on enrollment? Okay. Yeah, I'm very excited. I think it definitely shows that families are very interested in coming to MAPS. Our school of choice population is quite strong, and even though the numbers don't necessarily support it as far as birth rates, as we've been informed, it seems that we're bucking the trend in that sense, that our enrollment continues to stay strong, particularly in those younger grades. So that's very good news. I just wanted to say thank you to the board for all that you do to support MAPS. Last year was quite a year, and this has been quite a start to this year for me and for our staff and for our students and our families, but it's been a very smooth start, and I appreciate the support. We had a great back-to-school PD on August 31st at Kauffman Auditorium, had a great turnout of staff, and had a picnic at the park, Presque Isle Park, afterwards. And that all went very well. As the principals were talking about the great vibe, the energy that they sensed, I sense it too. It's palpable. So anyway, thank you for all that you do, and that's all I have.
Personnel report dated September, the financial reports of August, and which includes the receipts and disbursements. Take a motion.
I'll make a motion to approve the consent agenda.
Support.
Motion and support. Any discussion? Hearing none. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, motion carries. Board committee reports. Start with the policy committee. Policy committee. Who's going to give that report?
All right, that would be me. All right, we met on August 25th, 2022. Mrs. Clip and I did. You'll see them in the new business portion where we're going to talk about, have first readings for a couple of different policies. The first one is policy 1616 related to staff dress and grooming, which is a new policy. And then there's another one that's revised, policy 5511, dress and grooming. And policy 6110, grant funds, which is revised. But we can talk about these a little bit more in the new business. So that's it for me, for right now.
Appropriations committee.
Yeah, so we met last week, Tuesday, September 13th, and topics discussed were, as Mr. Sedgwick already went over, the snow and ice removal bids. In addition to that, we discussed the district-wide copier contract that is up for renewal, and it's the recommendation that we continue on with our current vendor. I don't know if anybody wants kind of more specifics on that, but the contract was included, I think, in the board packet, and actually based on a number of different things. Mr. Lindstrom, the technology district director, recommended that we stayed with that vendor, and it was actually at a reduced cost from our previous contract. Also, we talked about, we had some bids for elevator repair at Graveret, and we kind of received an incomplete quote, so we've asked them to update that, so more to come. Needed some more information before we could make a a recommendation to the board and look for approval on that project. Also had looked into, got some preliminary numbers on possibly painting the bus garage, and I'm still looking to see, what direction to take there. In the meantime, there was an approval for doing some site work there with excavation. That was within Mr. Sedgwick's approval authority. And then lastly, we talked about, I was not here at our last regular board meeting, but I guess this stemmed from that meeting. There was a question about school supplies, increasing the budget for each building so that teachers can have more access to funds as opposed to using their own personal funds to try to buy supplies for their classrooms. And so there was a recommendation to increase basically $5 per pupil, which for the district equates to about $16,500. So that's going to be allocated to each building, and then as needed requests with parents. So I think that was everything that we covered. So, but if anybody has any other questions or details that they'd like, you can field those.
All right. Moving on to new business. We'll need a motion to consider the snow removal bids as they were presented. We're still waiting for the high school and the alternative school, but we'll get those on another meeting. But for now, we'll consider the ones that we have. So I think, entertain a motion to approve those.
I'll make a motion to approve the snow removal bids that we have on the list.
Have a motion and a second. Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. We'll have a motion to consider the establishing tuition rates for the 2022-2023 school year per the board policy 6150. That's in your packet if you've taken a look at it.
Could you get a little background on that, maybe, or?
Sure. Jim, will you give us a little background on that?
Absolutely. Can you hear me?
I think so. Do you have a? Have to
So,
push the button on the green.
We have a policy, 6150, for tuition income, whereby we establish a tuition rate on an annual basis that would be paid by students who are not entitled to a free public education in the district and whose enrollment has been approved by the school board. So while we establish a tuition rate annually, it's my understanding that this isn't heavily utilized. And so there's a formula to calculate what that tuition rate will be based on our our prior year expenditures. It comes up with a range, a minimum and a maximum for the tuition. Historically, we've adopted the minimum tuition rate, which would be $11,215.86 for the 22-23 year, if the board chooses to adopt the minimum. The previous year, for 21-22, the rate approved by the board was $10,427.52.
And so the maximum was just the extra 25% for elementary, and then up to 27.5% on the secondary?
Correct.
Okay. And that's just all, again, template formulas that...
Correct.
And at least it's my understanding, I think since the last 8 years, I don't think we've ever actually had somebody pay outside tuition. We've had one student that was close to doing it.
Yeah.
But
Only
never
one-
actually happened.
One that I know of.
But
Jim, it's interesting that the additional percentages change from elementary to secondary. 15% and 12.5 versus just 25. What is the rationale for it? Do you know?
I used, honestly, I can look into that for you. I used the existing formula that has been in place for a number of years.
Okay.
So I didn't change those percentages, but I can do a little more research and bring you an answer as to
Okay.
why those are established. My guess is this policy follows an existing Michigan compiled law. My guess is those percentages are probably established in the MCL.
Okay.
But I'll verify that and bring you an answer.
Okay.
Compared to other districts, then, is there any sense that maybe we have to choose a different district because of the cost of the forms? Is there how does this compare to other districts, and is there a sense that we may be losing somebody to other districts because of a different place?
Because the formula is based off of our district's expenditures, it's going to vary district to district. I have not compared our district to other districts. I can certainly try to pull that information for you.
We don't have any instances where a student said, I'm going to go to Negaunee or Gwinn because of the savings.
It's never come up as long as I've been in the field.
I have a more elementary question than Mr. Sarka. Under what circumstance would a student pay tuition out of pocket as opposed to the school choice benefits? This is the first I've heard of this. I'd like to know more. What is?
Isn't it more like exchange students?
They might be a foreign student.
Yeah, I think like one example I've heard is, say somebody moves to Marquette, but their family is living with like a host type of a family.
I see.
And they're not entitled because they don't, it's not their primary residence.
I've got it.
Yeah,
Okay.
so but they could electively come.
They would get reimbursed up to this amount through a program or something like that. I understand now. Thank you so much.
And I think in some circumstances, you may find a foreign student who gets a local guardian, and because the guardian, their guardianship qualify the student for free education, and they can avoid that cost. I'm not giving anybody a playbook, I'm just saying that that's what I've observed.
Okay, so looking for a motion to consider the establishing the tuition rates that are presented here, and specifically the minimum tuition rate. I entertain a motion.
I guess the only thing, and then I'll be prepared, but I'll give a teeny bit of background. So I know maybe 4 or 5 years ago, we thought the formula sounded funny because it goes down to the exact penny. And so we kind of came up with a round number for a couple of years, I think is what we adopted. So if we would round it to say 10,000 even. And then it was based on a recommendation, I think a couple of years ago, that we go with what the formula actually says. So in that respect, I guess I would be fine making a motion to approve for the maximum. And again, considering that this is something that never really impacts us, regularly in the past. So that would be my motion.
So you're amending the motion to include the maximum then?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So if that's the motion, anybody have a second?
I'll second it.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. Any discussion, further discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Motion passes. Okay, now we're going to have a motion to approve the copier contract renewal with the UP Office Equipment Systems. We have a motion
I'll second.
and a second. Any discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. We also looked at the travel payment reimbursement rates. We need a motion to consider the rates that have been presented according to policies 6550.
Sorry, I probably should have given a little background on that.
Okay?
So the last time that this had been revised was 2016. So we just had to make a few changes to make it a little bit better for reimbursement, more fitting with the times. Because originally, the max for like breakfast was $7.25. I mean, you know, if you can't even get that at McDonald's, really. And lunch was $7.25 also, and dinner was a max of $16.50. So we boosted those up a little bit. $10 for breakfast, $16 for lunch, $33 for dinner. And then we also, at policy, recommended the per mile reimbursement be upped from 25 cents per mile up to 55 cents per mile. And so this is just mostly for our employees and staff and administrators that would maybe go to a conference or a workshop, for them to be reimbursed for their time and travel and for their meals. So.
Okay. So, looking for a motion to consider the reimbursement rates.
I would just add one more thing, that policy calls for us to do each year, so we don't fall behind.
Right.
Right, and it was behind. It was,
Well, with COVID, we weren't doing any traveling, so.
Right.
It kind of
Right.
fell through the cracks a little bit, and so now we're just kind of trying to get things back on track.
Yeah. So again, we need a motion to accept the rates that's been presented.
I'll make a motion to accept the travel payment and reimbursement rates as presented.
Support.
Okay, we have a motion and support. Any further discussion? Hearing none. All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Okay, Neola policies. Would you like to
Yep.
introduce these?
So this is just a first reading. We'll have the second reading at our October meeting, where we will possibly adopt the new policies, or revised policies. So policy 1616, staff dress and grooming, it's a new policy. This policy is a new policy for administrators, which contains the same language that we currently have in policy 3216 for professional staff members, and policy 4216 for support staff members, setting forth dress and grooming guidelines. One of the things we added was to be permitted to participate in designated spirit days approved by the building principal, so that like homecoming and stuff, that our administrators and staff can participate in the spirit days if they so choose. So that's that one. And then policy 5511, dress and grooming revised. This policy has been revised to remove some unnecessary pronouns. So this one regards to our students. And so it just kind of cleans up the language a little bit. And I don't think that one had been, well, that was first presented like back in 1999. So I'm sure there's been a few revisions, but this is just to clean up the language a little bit.
If I remember as well,
sorry.
sorry, but if I remember as well, it wasn't, there were pronoun issues, and there's also just redundancy in the language itself.
Yep. Yeah, so it just kind of took out, it says like student instead of himself, herself. So it just took out like mostly like the his and hers, and just left students are achieving their educational goals. So, let's see. Then the next one was policy 6110, grant funds. It's a revised policy. This policy has been revised to include the latest changes to the Educational Department General Administrative Regulations, or also known as EDGAR. Specific requirements for maintenance of effort, or MOE, and maintenance of equality, MOE, equity, will need to be documented and provided at the time of the audit of specified funded programs. So this revised policy reflects current EDGAR provisions and should be adopted to maintain accurate policies. Let's see. The next two, policy 6114, cost principles, spending federal funds revised, and policy 6325, procurement, federal grants / funds revised. These policies have been revised to include the latest changes to the EDGAR regulations, specific prohibitions regarding costs and incurred in incurred in telecommunications and video surveillance services or equipment are included, along with the Davis-Bacon prevailing wage provisions for contract in excess of $2,000 related to construction, alteration, repairs, etc. These revisions reflect current EDGAR provisions and should be adopted to maintain accurate policies. So then we'll discuss again in October and then possibly accept the revisions or additions.
Okay, have a motion. We don't need to do that. Okay, comments from the public. We don't have any slips. Board member comments. Ms. Ray.
I wish all the administration and administrators and teachers were here, but there's a great vibe going on, and it's exciting to kind of be in a different place as opposed to the past 2 years. So that's all I've got. I wish I could congratulate them all. They were amazing.
I know.
It was good to hear everything.
Did you do it?
No, same thing. I would just like to congratulate all the new hires to the district and looking forward to a great year.
Mrs. Clip?
Just echoing Mr. Hewitt and Ms. Ray's comments as well. Good stuff going on. It's very exciting.
Mr. Sarka?
Thank you. Take what I say with a grain of salt because I chose a mystery flavored soda. That was the color of windshield wiper fluid. So a lot of times Mondays land on Monday, and you would think, I think as a board member, and I've had Mondays where I thought, oh, at the end of the day, I get to go to a board meeting and it's just going to extend my Monday. And I can tell you that how many times that my Monday ends at 5 or 5:30 when the meeting begins. And, we should know our patterns and everything in the school year, but it always surprises me this meeting. It always comes at a great time, right? Because we're talking about snow coming. That's depressing, right? The days are getting shorter. There's all these things that follow that natural calendar of things start in spring and things start ending in the fall and everything. And you realize the school year, and there's an anthropologist who talked about this, how the school year has changed our year, that the fall is the new spring. It's when you have new teachers, you meet new people, you fall in love, it's this change. Packer games are starting again. So coming in today's meeting is great. I guess I would be surprised if the reports where the kids are dull, the teachers aren't sweet, and the buildings are kind of meh. And we don't want to steal any of your teachers, but we're fortunate, so fortunate to have, and I'll say energy is a little bit, energy isn't quite there because energy doesn't really identify that it's the people that do it. It's kind of this, it's impersonal, and everybody that went to speak today talking about people beginning a job with our district and being so excited my Monday ended at 5 when we started hearing those things. I want to be in Lego Club, and the other thing that kind of ends my Mondays is working with the people I work with on the board. Again, difficult times, and we've had plenty of them the last couple of years. And you've got a lot of dedicated people on the board. We've got great administrators, and that's always good. And I guess what I would say as a board is let's try to mirror what our staff, our teachers, and our administrators are doing and how they're approaching the next year. Because today's spring, today's the future, today's a start. and it's a start of something really good. So that's what I guess, I hope we're focusing on the next year. But again, grain of salt.
Okay, Mrs. Cambenzi.
This is always one of my favorite meetings, is to get to see the new hires and just kind of hear about how things are starting out in our buildings. It's always, full of hope and excitement, and it's just always my favorite, because it's just a happy time to just see everyone just excited and just ready to go. And I'm just really glad that we get to have this. So, congrats to all of our new hires. Thank you for picking us. Because it's great that we have people that want to come to our district, not only as students and families, but also as staff, that they want to be here and be a part of what we're doing. So I'm just excited. So thank you.
Okay. Well, I don't have much to add to that, except it is great. The energy that they showed was amazing. In the last few years, that kind of energy didn't show up at this particular meeting. They were excited, but nothing like this year. This is really very, very encouraging, and our numbers are way up. So that's also fabulous for the district, and hopefully we will continue to stay on top. So anyway, that's all I have. Gifts and bequests.
Actually, could I interject before we move on really quick?
Sure.
I did pull up the MCL that backs up the tuition calculation, and it does establish in there the 25% rate for K through 6 and the 12.5% rate for grades 7 through 12. So that is actually established by law.
Okay. Thank you.
Thank you.
Gifts and bequests. Kyle Storm of Storm Insurance Agency, which is MIMIC, excuse me, provided lunch for the back-to-school personal development MTSS kickoff, which we had a few weeks ago. Announcements and other meetings. September 26th through 30 was homecoming week. That's next week at MSHS. October 7th is another professional development day. There will be no school for students all day. October 11th, the MAPS Fall Choral Concert will be at Kaufman at 6:30. And it has been canceled for those who were preparing to be there. The board meeting, the next board meeting will be October 17th, Superior Hills Library at 5:30. So remember, Superior Hills Library. Do that. Motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Second? Support? So moved. We're done.
Aye.
Aye.